right, guys, we're talking about world economies. We have rich nations who have money and allow people to have access to goods and services, and we have poor countries who the people are experiencing what's called scarcity or a lack of access to goods and services. And historically, especially like a country like the United States, has historically taken two approaches to making sure that people have wealth or access to goods and services. The two ways that we're going to talk about and we're going to try to explain to you is demand side economics and supply side economics. So let's dig into demand side economics. So when we're talking about economics, we kind of need to have a general understanding of what supply means and what demand means. So in the simplest way, we have a relationship between consumers and big businesses. Okay? So consumers you can associate with the word demand, because we are consumers and we demand things like iPhones, laptops, food, right? And big businesses are the ones that supply us with iPhones, laptops, and food.
And I like food.
Yeah, we all like food. iPhones not so much. Food, I like food.
I like iPhones.
Yeah. So when we're talking about demand side economics, okay, like we have here, that is the government choosing to directly help out the consumer, the people that create the demand. So the ways in which the government does this is by decreasing taxes on the poor meaning not big business, consumers, okay? And higher welfare benefits, okay? Again, relieving stress on the poor so that they have more money to create demand. Ask more things from the big business, okay? Government job training and employment programs, creating more government jobs, okay? They're typically more stable, okay? And more spending on social programs and lowering interest rates so that the consumers are more likely to borrow money and spend it more, okay, on things like iPhones and food and clothes and laptops that big businesses make. So when the consumer has an excess of money, okay, a lot of money, much like how you probably are, when you get a paycheck, you're more likely to respond to that little Instagram ad about whatever targeted ads you get. You're like, oh, I just got $500 in the mail. I may as well buy that climbing pants that this ad is telling me to buy, okay? So when you have more money, you're more likely to spend money, okay? So that increases the demand for goods, okay? And that will benefit the big business as well. So remember, this demand side economics isn't just to benefit the consumers. It's meant to benefit the consumers and the big businesses, okay? So when the consumers have more money, they're more likely to spend their money on things like iPhones, laptops, and therefore big businesses in turn will eventually make their money. Once they have money, this is when the government will essentially get their return on investment that they've put into the consumer. Indirectly, they get their return through big business because they can put higher taxes on the corporations and essentially make the money back to feed back into the consumers. So this cycle keeps on happening in demand side economics.
So Brian, this sounds a lot like Keynesian economics.
Yeah, actually, I believe that is John Maynard Keynes right there, just smiling away. So John Maynard Keynes was, I think, the first to put this system into practice, okay? And essentially this is Keynesian economics, just put into practice.
Yeah, and if you kind of think about this, this is a higher level of government intervention into the economy. Right? Businesses aren't free to act and do as they want because, there's more regulations and taxes on big business in order for the government to have a bunch of money that they can invest back into the consumers through social programs.
Yeah. Remember, when we're talking about increased, higher welfare benefits, right? Social programming, we're talking about increased government intervention into, how people live.
Right.
This is a further movement into the left.
So if you guys look at this little scale right here, this will help you understand that. So you guys already know about left and right wing economics, but if you're more left wing, you have more government involvement or intervention in the economy, which we would call more of a demand side economics. Whereas if you have a more free economy, meaning businesses are more free to act on their own and there's more limited government intervention in the economy, we refer to that as supply side economics. So that's what we're gonna get into next. Okay, so we're going to talk now about the supply side of the economic theories. This is the more capitalist side. Sometimes we call supply side economics, we also call it trickle-down economics. And essentially what this means is that government wants to support businesses. They want businesses to make as much money as physically possible, right? So the idea here is government takes as many restrictions off of businesses. They lower taxes for businesses. They even subsidize businesses to help them grow bigger and bigger and bigger, because what that will do is it will give more people in the country jobs. Therefore, the government won't have to spend its time and energy supporting its citizens, but businesses will ensure that people get access to enough work. And therefore, if they're working, they're making money. And if they're making money, then they're spending money on consumer goods. And the government, because they're supporting businesses, they can get this money back, right? They get that from the consumers. So because the consumers are working, because big businesses have grown and made lots of money, because consumers are working, the government can then tax the consumers, and the government gets a tax revenue from that they can again use to support big businesses. So it's going the opposite direction as you saw the demand side economic theory go. So the idea here is to take restrictions off businesses. And like John Maynard Keynes is kind of the founder of demand side economics, the person that implements this system is Friedrich Hayek, right? And Milton Friedman. And the ideas of supply side economics was really implemented or put into place by the famous President of the United States, Ronald Reagan, and the Prime Minister of Great Britain, Margaret Thatcher. And their whole idea, like the whole method of their presidencies and prime ministerships, was to privatize any government-run industries. It was to get rid of social programs, public housing, welfare, and lower taxes for big businesses to support the growth of business.
Alright guys, so here's a quick demonstration to show you what demand side economic looks like. How's it going?
Good.
I heard your farm might not be producing too much this year.
Yeah, it's been a tough year.
Yeah. So we just wanted to give you a big government subsidy.
What?
That's yours to keep. The only question is, what do you think you might spend this on?
Well, a new pair of shoes, maybe some groceries. Pay down some debt. Maybe pay the electrical bill. Another new pair of shoes.
Shoes are important.
Yeah, it's going to come in really handy. Thank you very much.
No problem. Hello. Hey,
Hi.
you have a teaching degree, right?
Yes, I
Do you want a well-paying government job?
Yes, I do.
Oh, here you go. Here's the money from it.
Oh my!
Yeah, that's all
Is
yours
this
to
all
keep.
the money that I get?
Yeah, that's just the money from the government.
Oh, from the government?
What are you going to spend it on, you think?
You know what? I think I'm going to get me some Vegemite. Like
Oh.
a lot of Vegemite and just ship it over from Australia.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I miss that stuff. Yeah. Thank you, government.
Oh, no worries.
That's amazing. Look at all my money that I have. I'm balling. Yeah.
Mr. Virginello.
Hi there.
You have kids, right?
I do.
Here's a whole bunch of money because the government wants to help you out just because you got kids.
Oh, that's wonderful. What's it going to cost me, though?
Nothing. What do you think you'll spend it on, though?
Oh, my son would like a car,
There you
but
go.
I think I'll spend it on food and clothing because I'm such a practical guy.
There you go. Awesome. Oh, hello, big business.
Hello.
So, funny story, we just gave away all our money to consumers. So we need to jack up your taxes by at least 30%. Actually, I'm gonna... Yeah. Alright. There you go.
What?
Thank you!
What's up, guys? The following is a video that demonstrates supply side economics, and the video is badass.